How's everybody doing today? Marina's doing well. Andre, she looks like he's doing well. Hi, Addie. How are you doing? Hi, Natasha. And Svetlana's on here twice. Hi, Svetlana. Do you have a twin? Where's Mr. David? Well, it's 9 o'clock at my house. I don't know what time it is at all of your houses. We're all over the world, but before we get started, so we're in class 6, right? We're going to do 6 and 7, or rather 7. Where am I? 7 and 8 this weekend. And then we have 9 and 10 next weekend. Do you want to do a review of ACI 18, or would you like to have just a question and answer and party and celebrate having completed all 3 review courses? So you don't have to answer now, but think about it and put in the Telegram chat what you would like to do. And maybe we do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. How you would like to complete this round of courses that we've done together. Right? So think about it, and then you can let me know during the week or next weekend, so then I can prepare for whatever we need to prepare for. Deal? Thumbs up? Yeah? All righty. Okay, we will start with class here in a moment. I think I have my technical problems sorted out. We'll see. Is that good? Yes. We can thank Chloe for helping me this week. We went over it again last night. So thank you, Chloe. We've got this not all figured out, but partially figured out at this point. Let me open the chat so I can see it as well. And all righty. So I think we're ready to go. We stalled a few minutes so more people could join us. And we are going to embark on something that hopefully isn't quite as difficult as clear thinking. It's interesting that clear thinking should be so difficult for us to grasp. It's probably because we don't think clearly, right? And we had to really put our minds on the subject and focus and think about, what was being said. And if you've gone on to do any of the reading, it's even more difficult. So remember, don't try to read the readings for logic, for tsema, all at once like you would a book. Pick one of what we call a syllogism. It's a debate. Read it and be sure to read the middle section because that is the section of the debater who is a Madhyamika Prasangika debater of the most subtle school, and that's their presentation. So be sure to read that because at least we would say, us Madhyamika Prasangikas, we would say that is the correct view. It is the most subtle understanding. So this is something that you'll put on the shelf, you'll take it down off the shelf, you'll read it, you'll think about it, do your coffee meditation about it, thinking about it while you're relaxing on your couch or wherever it is in the evenings. For, a few days, few weeks, whatever it happens to be. And then take a break from it. Taking a break helps us to be able to come back to it fresh. So after that heavy course that we did last weekend, Geshe decided to teach something no less profound, but not so heavy. And this is Lojong. So this weekend, we're doing a review of ACI 14. Don't forget, these are review courses. So if you don't understand something, go back to the course or take the course if you haven't taken it yet. Especially with the logic. As I said, I did logic at least 3 times, if not more. So remember, we're not trying to get all this in one bite. These are review courses. So what is Lojong? Lojong is developing a good heart. Right? How do we develop a good heart that's not selfish, that's not self-centered, that's not me, now, I want, I need, gimme, right? Which is, I've been watching a little 1-year-old, and that's pretty much where they're at. And sometimes we don't grow out of it. We hold on to it. So we have this wonderful course to help us to remember where we're going and what we need to do. So Lo is mind, and Jong means to practice. It's often translated as mind training, right? Practice mind. But it can also refer to the act of Lo Jonging, of training the mind, of habituating it to new ways, training it. And it can also mean the individual Lojongs, advices on how to train the mind. But the point isn't to train the mind like you would for, say, training yourself to understand logic or clear thinking. We're training. So the Tibetan Buddhists, I think I've said this before, when they talk about the mind, they point to the heart. So what we're training is our heart. We're training our heart to be more open and to care for others. This is what the training is. It's not an intellectual thing at all. It's about the heart. So, in fact, what is all of Buddha's practice? Teaching us how to be kinder, because that's the way the world works, right? That's the way the world works. All the great teachers say this, all the great masters. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to wake up. It's like we're walking dead or something. We're in another world. And we need to wake up from it. So, of course, first, we need to recognize that we have these ingrained habits. Habits that we've been doing from lifetime to lifetime. Behaviors that are rooted in our ignorance. They seem unchanging. They seem permanent. This course is about how to break those habits and turn that habit into an act of wisdom. What wisdom? The wisdom that realizes emptiness. So there's not anything else to see, except there is nothing, ultimately, which exists independent of Mingde Taksam, right? Of how we think of it and how we label it, how we name it. Not anything we think, not anything we say, not anything we hear, not even this precious thing I call me. So the whole Buddhist path is this. All we do is mind training. So we use our brain, but is our brain our mind? Something to think about. Your brain is this physical thing inside your skull, right? Take a moment, close your eyes. Think about what's in your refrigerator. Okay, come on back. Your mind just went to your refrigerator. So is our brain and our mind the same thing? So with these lojones, we're purifying our mind, our thoughts, our emotions, the things we like and don't like, our motivations, all of these different mental factors. So lojong is more than just a brain exercise, like working out a crossword puzzle or studying logic, right? It's practicing and purifying the mental factors that make us up. Therefore, Geshe Michael translates lojong not as training the mind, but as developing a good heart. Sounds pretty sweet, doesn't it? Yes, I want to develop a good heart. So this other part, the zhong, the practice, it's practice. It's practice. Just like a child, when they learn to walk, they fall down a lot, right? It's hard work. That's what this word practice means. It's not like it happens overnight, but we gotta we fall down, we blow it. You don't need to beat yourself up. You don't need to feel guilty. It's just like, oh, I forgot. I fell down. You get back up. You have a strong foundation of karma and emptiness. And so that is what you stand up on. And you get back up on that. So this takes sustained, continued work to practice. It's an all-day practice to develop a good to heart. Every moment, every day, every waking moment or sleeping moment, in class or not, you have this opportunity to practice Lojong wherever you are, with yourself and with others. There's also another meaning of Lojong. So there was this man named Nawang Lobsang Chundin, a monk who lived in 1642 to 1714, long time ago. And he was the first Chankya Rinpoche. So part of the Chankya lineage were lamas who were teachers to the emperors of China. This is our lovely, peaceful connection between Tibetan teachers and the Chinese. It's a shared practice of Buddhism. And Chankya Rinpoche is a form of life of Pabonka Rinpoche. He is part of the Chankya lineage. So when Pabonka Rinpoche was teaching in Tibet, which was not so long ago, it was the early 20th century, relations with China were in a difficult time. They were strained, to say the least, at that time. So he was not recognized as the Chankya Rinpoche, as the reincarnation of Nawang Lobsang Chundin. So he was called Pabonka for the rock above his monastery. We could say the monk of the solid rock. He was rock solid. And so it's part of our Chankya Rinpoche, Nawang Lobsang Chundin, is part of our lineage. And he said that Lojong, he defines it as this. He says, Diamond Lion from Tangpa region, who was a highly realized bodhisattva, made 8 verses of instruction on how to develop the wish to reach Buddhahood for the benefit of all living beings. So Chankya Rinpoche pulls out this quote. He doesn't even use the word Lojong. He uses the word Semjong. Sem and Lo are both words for the mind. And here it's part of the phrase, Jong Chub Sem. Let's see if I can see it. Jong Chub Sem Jong. See it here? So this is a code word for bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. Jong Chub Sem. Jong is the practice part of it, right? The wish to attain full enlightenment for the benefit of other beings. So Lojong is advices in developing the mind of enlightenment, of developing bodhicitta, or the good heart. So the 8 verses were, I guess, shared, or at some point they got written down, but they were probably oral to begin with. And they come from Dorje Senge, diamond lion, Senge lion, right? He's also called Geshe Langri Tangpa because he came from the region of Tangpa. He lived 1054 to 1123. So even older than the Changkya Rinpoche, right? By 6 centuries or something. And Langri Tangpe, which they said is from the region that he came from. It's a flat place, the plains of Langri. And it refers to the author of one of the most famous lojongs, this one we're talking about, the 8 verses. He was one of the Kadampas. What's a Kadampa? The Kadampas were like the first Buddhists in Tibet. They were here and there, and just a few of them. They were the first generation. And they were pretty incredible people. They took these teachings to heart. It was like, how can I use it now? And they developed these insights, which we now get to partake of. And Dorje Senge was what we call a Sempa Chempo, a highly realized bodhisattva. And he was one of the first geshes. What's a geshe? A spiritual friend. Somebody who can guide you. Let me see, who can I call on? Svetlana? Can you read this, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
May I think of every living being as more precious than a wish-giving gem. For reaching the ultimate goal, and so always hold them dear.
Lovely, thank you. So, what is Diamond Lion saying here? Diamond Lion is saying that the people around you are more precious than a wishing jewel. What's a wishing jewel? A jewel that could give you anything you wish for. So how could anything be better than that? Because you can't conceive of the ultimate goal of enlightenment. You can't conceive of what a fully omniscient being would be like, what Buddhahood would be like. So we couldn't even wish properly for it. Because you need to be specific for the things you wish for. You can't conceive of how nice it will be when you get to your tantric enlightenment, even if someone were to explain it to you. We can't even begin to be able to think of it. In fact, that's why Tantra is secret. It's a self-protecting secret. We can't imagine the process or the steps of the process until it starts to happen to us. And we wouldn't even know what to wish for. So in that sense, anything that brings us to tantric enlightenment would be better than a wish-giving jewel. The only thing that will bring us to enlightenment is our relationships with people around us. I would say 99% of the karma we create, whether helpful karma or not so helpful karma, is in relationship to other people. So they are extremely precious, Shinto precious, right? They're very, very precious. It's like they're the ones who are going to get us to heaven. It's like, oh, you're going to get me to heaven. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Test me. Make me learn to be kind. So when you're having difficulty with someone, if you can bring that thought up in your mind, oh, they're just polishing me. They're just showing me what I need to change. Then it's easy to think of them as an enlightened being. To attain the ultimate angel's body, we need other people. We need to be around difficult people. The people we see every day at work, the person we see when we wake up in the morning, right? Our friends, we need people who will polish us to be a real Buddha. So that's one way of thinking it. The second is this state of mind, bodhicitta, that wants to reach highest enlightenment for the benefit of every being. That is more precious than a wish-giving gem. The first moment of true ultimate bodhicitta, which is really a code word for seeing emptiness directly. But prior to that, you see all sentient beings. And it's really rare to even think of another being, any other being, much less all sentient beings. Right? So again, it's a relationship to others. And when we have that experience, when our heart opens, and the way Geshe-la has described it, it's like a beam of light coming out of your heart, and it touches every being. You go through every being you've known, and then you see every being who you haven't met or you don't think you have met. And you know that you will ultimately reach enlightenment for their benefit. The third way it's more precious is that Buddhahood is such a rarity. It's so rare. And bodhicitta is beyond anything that we consider precious. Third verse. Let's see who I can see. Not me. Anna, can you read the third verse?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you for opportunity. Diamond Lion, third verse. As I do through the day, may I watch my mind to see if a negative thought has come. If it does, may I stop it right there with force, since it hurts myself and others.
Hurts.
Hurts. Oh, sorry, I see small screen.
Yeah, it hurts myself and others. Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah, thanks.
So, you know, once in a while we get upset or we, excuse me, or have a bad thought in our mind. What does Master Shanti Deva say? Be like a bump on a log. Cut it off. Stop it immediately. The moment, remember those concentric circles we talked about? The moment you start to feel bad towards someone, you know, all of a sudden, and it happens so quickly, right? It happens so quickly. It's really hard to stop. You're beginning to feel a little tight, and then you get upset and it comes out. So what did we say at the beginning? We fall off, we get back up again, right? It's like, oh, I forgot my lojong. You don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to feel guilty. Just face it and admit that it's your problem. That person that you're upset with is just like you. They are also suffering, the same as you. Right? And according to the laws of seeds, even one moment of slight irritation at someone has profound effects on your future. A single moment of anger destroys your root of virtue. And we talked about, we don't even know who anybody is around us. They could be a bodhisattva. And then they're a very high karmic object, that bodhisattva. Are these just scare tactics to get us to behave like we learned when we were children in church or temple? If our world is produced by the seeds that we put in our mind in relationship to others, then we don't want to get angry. Yes. What happens when we get angry if we don't stop it? It gets bigger and bigger. It becomes more and more of a habit. And it just runs our lives and ruins our lives. So here, may I stop it right there with force, since it hurts myself and others. These are short verses. I think it would be a good practice to memorize them so that they come up in your mind when the going gets hard, right? And then we have the fifth verse. David, would you read verse number 5 for us, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Some jealous person might do me wrong, insult me, or something of the like. May I learn to take the loss myself and offer them all the gain.
Thank you. That's a hard one, isn't it? Because we think we're right all the time, right? Is Diamond Lion saying that we should let others take advantage of us? What do you think, David?
I mean, that's kind of the teaching that I got. It's just let them take. So I will just. Yeah, pretty much.
According to the laws of karma, if we do this, we can't lose. We have vowed to serve others, right? Is it important to be right? How often do we defend ourselves? I know I do it. I want to be right. I know it. I know that, right? If we can learn to take the loss ourselves and offer them all the gain, who's really gaining? Me. I'm gaining more wisdom. I'm gaining more generosity. I'm gaining more kindness. And a positive action will always result in a positive experience. You want that person to continue being jealous? You want that person to continue yelling at you? Just do the same back. Stand up. I'm right. Right? Any suffering that we experience can only have been created from some previous actions where we failed to give others what we had. Okay? But most importantly, as committed bodhisattvas, we pledge to serve others. What does serve mean? We become servants, right? Servants to what? To making them happy, to assure that their wishes are fulfilled, even at our own expense. So, even though we've said this, if you see someone creating negative karma, you also have a responsibility to stop them from doing that. Not because they're doing it, but because you have the appearance of someone doing a negative deed. Where is that image coming from? It's coming from you. And therefore, that appearance is indeed what you're experiencing, and it is real to you. So, yes, we have to stop them from creating negative karma. Both so we will not see that appearance in the future, and so they don't create the negative karma. But not in a way of, I know what's right and you are wrong. Who's the wrong one here? In fact, it's us, because that's what is appearing to us. We did or said something wrong in the past, right? So what's appearing to us is someone harming us or somebody else. So what state of mind should we have when we take the loss and give them the gain. Chankyar Rinpoche says that you have to have two attitudes. One, you should be happy about it. You should have a good time. You should enjoy it, rejoice in it, and realize that this act is going to get you to your Buddha paradise. So what? You know, if they aren't hurting anybody, give them the gain. Because you know, by doing that, it's going to get you to Buddha paradise. Also, you won't have any regrets now or in the future. Regrets that could destroy your collection of goodness, right? If you do, then it can hurt that collection by not taking the loss. So if your mind starts to question what you're doing, just tell it to shut up. It's like, no, I'm not going there. Be quiet. Our minds are tricky things, right? They have a habit, we call it the devil, right? Of wanting to put our needs before everybody else's and our ego above everybody else's. That I am right and you are wrong. I am better than you. I deserve this more than you. Yeah, check it out. I'm talking from my own experience. And when you get into retreat and can hear what your mind is really saying, oh my gosh, it's like you think that you're the worst person on the planet. We're all in the same boat. We're all there. It's just that you're hearing it for the first time. Right? So Lojong is a body of work as well as these individual Lojongs. And the source of most of these texts covered in course 14 is Lojong Gyetse. And so you can see the pecha here, just the first beginning pages. I always think it's really cool. I don't know if you can see on my table here are some pechas wrapped up that Geshe Michael left in New York and Hector brought to Arizona this week. And some of these are for the nuns will be keeping them. One is a commentary on the Vinaya, and the other one is a Tara practice. So that's what they look like here. When they're all wrapped up, right? These long pages that are printed. So here in this picture, you can see what they look like on the inside. So what is the Lojong Gyetse? It's a collection, a compendium of texts on developing the good heart. And it was compiled by the great Bodhisattva Munshin Konjo Gyaltsen. We don't know his exact dates. We can just say he lived sometime in the 14th century. In this text is a group of what we call personal advices, Dhamma. Say Dham. Nya. It's like holding your nose. Nya. It's quite nasal, the NG. And it's composed by Gyalwa Yang Gumpa, who lived 1213 to 1258. And he was a master of the Drukpa Kagyu tradition. There, we talk about 4 schools of Tibetan or Buddhism, which are the philosophical schools. And then there's also schools within Tibetan Buddhism. There's the Galupas, which is what lineage basically we're in. There's the Nyingma, which is the oldest school. There's the Sakya, and there's the Kagyu. So he was from the Kagyu tradition. Also in our higher teachings, we share Kagyu teachers and Sakya teachers. And so there's a lot of crossover. Basically, the schools, it's not like the philosophical schools, but they approach things and teach things in different ways. And each of us has different ways of learning. And so one school might be more suited to another person than another school. So what is this Damnak, these personal advices? They are instructions passed down to the students in a personal setting from their teacher. And the reading has 10 different sets of advices, just excerpts from them, not all of them. Some of them are named, some of them are not. And many of them have been misinterpreted. These are they're personal advices. They have some code words in them. They sound really sexy, and you need a teacher to explain them to you. So you have to be careful. If you haven't had teachings on these, please go and get them. We'll go over a few of them here this morning. So the first one. David, would you start us off again and read this one?
Sure.
Thanks.
The world is hollow and meaningless. Do not trust the lie. Your own mind is the Buddha. Go and meet your friend.
Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, let's go and meet this friend, the Buddha.
I don't know about my mind.
Your own mind is the Buddha. It does not mean you are a Buddha yet, right? David, what do you think it's referring to if you're not a Buddha yet?
I think it's referring to Buddha nature, like
Exactly.
the fact that our mind is empty and that we can become a Buddha.
Exactly. Yeah. So the fact that our mind is empty, of having any existence independent of how we think of it and name it, is our Buddha nature. A Buddha has the same nature. They perceive their mind how they are forced to perceive their mind. I perceive my mind the way I am forced to perceive my mind. David is forced to see his mind how he sees it, right? It lacks any self-existent nature. It's totally dependent on how we each experience it and label it. We can label it, oh, that's a happy mind. Oh, that's a messed up mind. That's a this mind. That's a that mind. Karmic seeds every 65 per second per finger snap, right? And then we label it. We grasp onto it, being a certain way. And it's not. It's not. It's just moments of seeds ripening. So the Buddha nature is your total, complete availability. Arya Nagarjuna says, emptiness is the possibility of all things. It's that blank screen. You know, right now, at least for myself, my experience of my mind is this bizarre mixture of happiness and unhappiness, right? I think there's more happiness than there was 30 years ago. The reason I came to Buddhism was because I was tired of that roller coaster. I'd be really happy, and then something would happen, and I'd get unhappy, and then I'd be happy, and I'd get unhappy. I was tired of that roller coaster. It's like, there's got to be a better way. So we have happiness, we have sadness, we have peace, we have anger, we are satisfied, we are dissatisfied. And we're forced to experience our mind in this way. So your Buddha nature is not like a walnut that you could just crack open and there it is. It's not something that just needs to be cleaned and polished off in that way, right? If I had collected the necessary seeds, I could be perceiving this body as not getting old, of not having aches and pains, of teeth not hurting, right? I could see it as a beautiful crystalline body of an enlightened being that doesn't grow old and die. If I collected enough of those seeds to do that, right? So the emptiness of your mind is the potential for you to become a being like that. To become Manjushri, to become Aryatara, to become whatever you will be named when you reach that place. The Buddha, whatever your name will be, right? If we could understand this, we would keep our vows perfectly. But we're deceived, right? That's what it means, deceptive reality. If we were undeceived, we would be forced to see ourselves as an enlightened being. That is your potential. That is your Buddha nature. That is what is meant by your own mind is the Buddha. Not in a state that it's in now, right? It has this Buddha nature because it's not a fixed, unchanging thing. It's being forced on us by the seeds that we planted in relation to others in the past. So it's really very cool, right? We don't have to stay stuck in this mind that we have right now. We can change it. How? By developing a good heart, by keeping our vows. All right. Let's see. Rinchen Sultram, would you read this one, please?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing but the Dharma means anything. So, Ruther out like trash. It all boils down to I pack light and take off now.
Thank you. This is one of my favorite verses, I think. I love this image of pack light and take off now, right? The original Tibetan, according to Geshe-la, because I don't read Tibetan yet, is like, take speed with dry meat. You know, it's like, just throw some meat in your backpack and take off. Take off. Take off where? On the path to enlightenment. Is that a physical path? Like the paths that you take when you go on a mountain hike or a forest hike? Are they somewhere outside of yourself? Is it some physical journey away from or towards something? Marina's shaking her head. No. It's a very personal inner path. But what does it mean to pack light? Don't carry all those resentments with you. So throw the rest out like trash. Does it mean, you know, that I have to get rid of everything in my house? Is it, again, referring to something external? No. What does the Buddha teach us? What to take up and what to give up in how you think about things. And what's the test? It's all right here. It all boils down to dying. As death approaches, apply the test to every moment of your life. Is what I am doing worth dying for? For those of you who have been at the YSI teachings, Geshe-la talked about this the first night. What's the point of getting upset at somebody? You're going to forget about it anyway. In 5 years, 10 years, why not just do it now? Then you don't have to carry that baggage. You can pack light. If I am going to die, remember our death meditation? Today, do I want these thoughts in my mind? Right. Do you want to carry, what thoughts do you want to take with you? So a person, a lojonger, a person who's practicing lojong needs to ask whether what they are doing every hour is worth doing. If not, then don't do it. We have reasons for doing things, right? Check out what your reason is. Do we need to have money to take care of ourselves and others? Yeah. What is your motivation? Is it just to amass a lot of stuff for yourself? Or is it so you could buy a plane ticket to send somebody to Kyoto for the next long rim teachings, right? So check what you're doing every hour. And if it's not worth doing, just don't do it. Change what you're doing. Wake up in the morning. Think about what you want your day to look like, who you want to serve, what you're going to do and what your motivation is. And this is a barometer, a measure of whether you are spending your life well. Spending your life purely in Dharma activity every minute is the smartest thing to do. If you're working for a Dharma organization, you still have to think about it. Just because you're working for a Dharma organization doesn't mean you're doing Dharma, right? Our egos can get involved there too. So how can you do Dharma in a Dharma organization? How can you make sure that you're doing it for others? We all have to die. We all have to lose this body. And the only thing that we take with us at death are the seeds in our mind. So for me, when I hear these verses, it's like, I get on fire. It's inspiring. It's like, yes, this motivates me. And I have to keep coming back to it because I have those old habits to practice the Dharma every moment of my life. So I don't know if you're like me or not, but I need these reminders. It's so great being able to teach this course and being reminded yet again and again and again. So thank you. Thank you, David, for initiating this, as I've said before. So let's read this last one, and then we'll take our bio break. Marina, would you read this one, please?
Keep these 7 karma. Teaching in your feet and
Art.
let your dharma practice be something you do inside yourself.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So keep these 7 Dharma teachings in your heart and let your Dharma practice be something you do inside yourself. This seemingly simple verse is very profound. And you don't have to limit it just to the 7 teachings that he passed down to his students. You can apply it to every Dharma teaching you have. What isn't Dharma? Right? What does it mean to keep the teachings in your heart? What does it mean that Dharma practice is something you do inside yourself? There are many, many layers here, from the obvious to the subtle. The third of the 7 teachings Master Yangumpa refers to is the reality of things is beyond the mind. So reside in a state where you hold nothing. So what does that mean? Right? The reality of things is beyond the mind. Does it mean that you're not sitting here experiencing this Zoom call? That this isn't real? Does it mean that nothing you experience is real? Does it mean that the pain of a mother in Morocco whose child just died from an earthquake is not real? No, right. That would be absurd, wouldn't it? What you experience is, say it again, what you experience is your reality and nothing else. It is real. You are projecting it as real. And until the day we see emptiness directly, we have never perceived ultimate reality. We have never seen directly that the way we think about things exists totally dependent on us. We think things exist independent of us, outside of us, coming at us. It's impossible. It's absurd, really. There is a lack of things existing that way. A lack, an absence of things existing in that way. Nothing has ever existed that way, nothing ever will exist that way, and nothing ever has existed that way. Ultimate reality is beyond our current state of perception. We have no ability except intellectually to perceive it. So we have to walk this path so that we can perceive that. And if you are walking this path and keeping your vows and doing your lojong, then you will be forced to have the direct perception of emptiness and see directly that you are producing your own world. All right. What does, in that last verse, that little piece not here, what about residing in a state where you hold to nothing? Does this mean that you are empty? You just empty the mind of all thoughts? You sit in some spaced out state, or you trying to see a black void, something that's empty? No. Where you hold to nothing means not to hold to things having a nature of their own. Your body, your mind, right? Don't hold on to them as being crummy, old, unenlightened, suffering, samsaric beings. They're empty. You don't need to hold on to it. Your body and your mind are empty of existing that way. If you learn these teachings, if you practice them, if you are a strong, lojonger, let's see if I can even say it, a strong lojong practitioner, things will shift because your mind and body are empty. And you can and you will reach a Buddha paradise. That's what he means by residing in a state where you hold to nothing. Nothing you see, not your body, and not your mind. And that's what it means to do the practice inside yourself. Keep them in your, and let it be something that you do. It's an inside practice. It's not an outside practice. So think about that as we get up and we take a break, stretch break, a bathroom break, whatever kind of break, a water break, and we will come back at 15 minutes after the hour. Okay? See you then. Alrighty, welcome back. Moving right along here. We're going to now talk, I need to move some windows around here so I can see people. Okay. We're now going to move on to another lojong, the lojong dun duma. This one is taught a lot publicly, the 7-step practice for developing a good heart, or the 7-point mind training. Dun is point and dunma here means 7. So for centuries, this was a very secret practice. It was not taught openly. You might wonder why. This is a practice about exchanging your concern for yourself and fulfilling your own needs rather than fulfilling the needs of others. And people weren't ready to accept that idea yet. And so if they heard this teaching that they should be more concerned with others' needs first, and they disrespected it, they would create serious negative karma. The Lama who taught this openly for the first time was a Lama named Geshe Chikawa, who's one of my heroes. And he felt, it hadn't been taught openly, it had just been taught in these small groups, mostly probably among the Kadampas themselves. And it hadn't been taught openly, but he began to think, maybe there are a few people who are ready for this teaching. And if I don't give it openly, they might miss it, and that would not be a good thing. So he decided to go ahead and teach it publicly. So you can, through his example, you can realize that these teachings must be passed down correctly with the correct explanation, especially like the mystical sounding sections that relate to emptiness. Pack light and take off. Right? So we have to make sure that we pass these on very, very purely and not add things and not take things off, right? But to learn them and to pass them on clearly. So Kadampa Geshe Chikawa, or his ordained name is Yeshe Dorje, Diamond Wisdom. Yeshe is wisdom and Dorje is diamond, right? Here's 2 different pictures of him. Sometimes he's called Chikawa, sometimes his name is Chikapa. He lived 1101 to 1175. He was another Kadampa, one of the first Buddhists in Tibet. And the outline of the 7 steps are first starts with the preliminaries, then how to develop bodhicitta, then how to use problems, and then a summary of entire lifetime's practice, Number 5, how do you measure if you've achieved Lojong? Number 6, how to keep 18 pledges and advices on developing a good heart. And these 18 advices, if you remember, Geshe-la talked about them in Guadalajara at the last Nam Rim. And there are, I don't know if there are all there yet, but there will be, if they're not, 18 meditations to help us keep these pledges. And so that one's number 9. And then there's advices on developing a good heart. So the brief essentials of the instructions, the top na, the power 5, the 5 powers, right? Na, everybody say na, na, and top, 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 nya. Nya is 5, right? So brief essentials of the instructions are combined in 5 powers, which you can use throughout your life and at the moment of death. So there are 2 sets of 5 powers. And it is necessary to have practiced this throughout your life to use them at the time of death. So at the time of death, it's a presentation of the practice of POA, how to relocate or to move to a new location, sending your consciousness into death. And most POA teachings are secret, but this presentation is open and very important. The first power is called Pempa Gito. Pempa meaning to project. It's like sending an arrow out. You know, you have a bow and arrow and you project it into the future. So this means making a resolution for the future. This is a practice that you can do every morning before you get up. Take 3 or 5 concrete things that you can do during the day to benefit others. This is how we help our bodhicitta to grow. So the moment you wake up, I mean, even before I open my eyes, I make this prayer. It's planting a seed for the day. What are you doing? You're working on destroying that habit of taking care of me first, your self-cherishing. So that's what we would practice in our daily life. At the point of death, though, think, may I have a rebirth where I can practice bodhicitta. Pray that you can carry what bodhicitta you have with you into your next life. The second one is Gompa Gito. Say Gompa, Gompa Gito. Gompa Gito. Gompa, Gom, if you remember, is a word for meditation. It means to habituate ourselves. So Gompa, the habituation, gi of power. The power, top is power, the power of habituation. How can we habituate ourselves? At any transition point, like moving in your chair, getting up, going to the bathroom, going to eat, we have this incredible opportunity to remember and to reset our motivation for bodhicitta. May I, just for an example, which I didn't do when we took the break, may I, when I get up and go to the bathroom, may I think of others so I'm not distracted when I'm teaching, right? Because I didn't go to the bathroom. Or may I drink this water and may all beings have nice, clear, fresh water so that they're not thirsty. So anytime we do anything, it's an invitation to wake up. That's all it is. Right? It's hard to do because we just have this habit. You just get up and you go do what you're going to do. That's why we have these teachings, to remind us. Gompeki Top at the time of death, it arises because you have habituated yourself using all of these actions as your motivation for your bodhicitta to grow. Then you make a prayer. Even as you're dying, may I teach others how not to die. May I teach them the Dharma. May I reach my final goal so I can show them the path. Number 3, Karpo Sabun Gitop. Karpo means white. Sabun is a seed. And here we're talking about a virtuous seed. Gi is of, and top is power, right? The power of pure white seeds. So figure out how you can make pure white seeds. Every irritation in our lives is the cause of aging and falling apart. Does it have to be that way? No, we can reverse that process. But first we need good white seeds. So how do we do that? We have to find out what are the most powerful good deeds to do, because we don't have time with small good deeds. And frankly, the most powerful good seeds to plant is to serve your Lama. If you don't have a Lama, make one. Plant the good white seeds so your Lama just appears to you. Right? That will then you can begin to serve them. The most important thing you can do is to assist them in teaching the Dharma to others. So thank you, all of you tech people, and thank you, all of you translators. You are serving the Lama by making this accessible to people, to get it to other people. So that's the first part. The second part is to figure out ways to wipe out or to purify all of those bad seeds in your pocket, right? All those ones that will cause suffering in the future. How do you do that? We've got this thing called the 6 Times book. If you don't know about the 6 Times book, go to the ACI website. Sylvia and I did a class on keeping your 6 times book. Or ask your friends, do you know about the 6 times book? Also, there's the 4 powers. So you have tools. Sometimes they get buried in the bottom of your toolbox. Sometimes take your toolbox out and reorganize it and see what's in there, right? So that's what we can do daily. We can do our 6 times book 6 times a day. And we can serve the Dharma. We can serve our Lama. At the time of death, you want these white seeds to be the predominant seeds. You want to have your glass filled with clear, clean water. You don't want it to be muddy, right? So mentally prepare yourself and give away all of the physical objects that you have. You don't need them. You won't need them when you die, right? Also, give away the good karma that you created with your teachers, with your lamas. Purify your negative karma. And most especially, get used to giving away your idea of self. Your personality. This is just a bag of bones. Would you get my phone for me, Anina? It's over there. I want to read you guys a poem that came across my Facebook page from a poet who I really, he's like a spiritual bard. His name is John Rodell. On days like today, when my eyesight is failing and my bones ache more than usual, I have to remember that I am not my body. It is simply just the Airbnb that I'm renting. My Wyoming wind, whipped dry skin, and my graying hair are just the package I was vacuum sealed inside of, my love. There is so much more to us than our neurons and nerves. We are timeless tourists on a tour straight into the mystic. We are pieces of cosmic energy caught inside this temporary jar of humming organs and flowing veins. We are miracle sparks that were launched out of the first fire eons ago, who eventually were given starships of our own to command that were built out of muscle and membranes. My love, these gangly skeletons we are lugging around are the jungle gym cradle for our playful souls. But these physical forms aren't who we are, any more than the hull or the sail we are steering. These human containers are just the vessels taking us on an adventure after adventure, until someday angels in sailor hats come and decommission our flesh and blood. My love, do not fear that day when we shed our skin, because we are the energy who existed long before our freckles started frecking. Remember, you are the glimmering precious cargo inside of this built-to-fail body. And I'm going much too fast, sorry. And someday, when you have to turn it all back in to the eternal rental agency you'll finally get to stretch your celestial wings and join the rest of us, fireflies out here at the edge of time, where the great artist is still painting worlds for us to someday explore. My love, you are not your body. You are the supernatural miracle bouncing around inside of it. My love, you are endless light. I will post it because I read it so quickly. It's by a poet named John Rodell. So get used to giving away your idea of self. There is no self. No self-existent self. You are merely walking karma ripening. Now, if that doesn't freak you out, I don't know what will. That is all you are. And because it's empty, you can become that body of celestial light. All righty. Number 4, Sunjimpa, to rip out. It's not a nice word, Sunjimpa. Yitop, right, of power. The power to rip out. To rip out the heart of self-cherishing and every bad thought. When? All day long. Whenever a thought comes to you to get only what you want, destroy it immediately. Nope, not going there. Nope, not going there, right? At the time of death, do purification, do confession of all bad deeds that you're aware of. But you know what? You don't even have to wait till then. But we accumulate them every day. So have a Dharma friend around if you can. Because they understand. And especially purify vows you broke knowingly. Get rid of all regret. Apologize before you die to all the people you hurt. You can do a general confession and say, oh, I'm sorry, everybody I hurt. It's much more powerful to go to them one by one and say, you know, I said that because I was thinking about me and I am really sorry that I hurt you. Go to them and apologize to them. It's important to have a clear conscience. And it's also important to believe that you have removed those seeds. You disown any bad deeds you have done. You don't want to carry them with you. Okay? We would like to, if we become reborn into another physical form, if we don't reach our enlightenment, we don't want those negative seeds. We don't want to have those regrets with us in our next lives or the life after that. We want to have clean pockets. So start now. Don't wait, because if you haven't gotten in a habit of doing it, you're not going to think about it at that time. A really good practice, do it before you go to sleep, at least in your mind, and rejoice. And make a commitment to go and talk to those people. So sun jimpa gito, rip it out. And the last one, Munam Gito. Munam is a prayer. So at night, before you go to sleep, close your eyes and joyfully review your day's efforts at helping others to get what they wanted. And rejoice in your spreading kindness and goodness. And make a prayer that because of this, your bodhicitta will grow. And when you have that ultimate experience of bodhicitta, you will be fearless. Why? Because you confirm all the truths of Buddhism. You see your future lives. You know that you will soon reach enlightenment. So we integrate all of this into our lives. Having a book, a 6 times book, helps us to integrate all of this. Keep our vows, check our mind, what's happening in our mind 6 times a day. And at the end of the day, do your pluses, do your minuses, and do your to-dos. Rejoice, purify, and make a commitment again to develop or to increase your bodhicitta. And at death, how do we use this? We pray that all the bad deeds, mental and physical suffering of others should come to us so that we can take it into death with us, and nobody else has to suffer. You can even do this when you go to the dentist. May I experience this so nobody else has to experience it again. May no one else have a toothache. May no one else have appendicitis, whatever it is. May no one else, let me take everybody's headaches from them when you have a headache, so no one else has to experience this. Now, does that mean no one else is going to have a headache? It means that your seeds to see things will change because of your willingness to take on that suffering. So you dedicate your death to destroying others' bad seeds and pain. And when that particular death of pain comes to you, because you've practiced it every day, remember that. And then when you die, like Lord Buddha, try to lie on your right side so your heart on your left side is open. Lie on your right side peacefully with your hand under your head and let this body go. We need to practice this daily. You can go to sleep like that too, right? We need to practice this daily because at the time of the death, because we think that we are self-existent, it is terrifying because we think that we are being destroyed. That's why we talk about this stuff over and over, to habituate ourselves to thinking differently. So just for a lung, to give this to you in Tibetan, because it's a very, very holy thing in my mind, at least. I will read it to you. Sharjun na semchen, tamshe ki dundu narme du, drowar munpar, jekyang min drowar duk, dakshing ki nangwa. Geshe Chikawa said on his deathbed, I can't go there. And his disciples were concerned and they said, what? You can't go where, right? It's not working. What's not working? I was praying that I could pass on to the lower hell for the sake of every living being, and it's not working. I can't go. All I can see before me now is the paradise of enlightenment. Obviously, he was carrying out his own advice and performing the practice of transferring his consciousness, Poa, in the tradition of the greater way. His seeds, even though he wanted to go to hell to teach the beings there how to end their suffering, his bodhicitta, his love for beings was so great that he couldn't see hell. All he could see was a paradise of the Buddhas. Does hell exist? Yes. Is it a projection of your mind? Yes. Does Buddha paradise exist? Yes. Is it a projection of your mind? Yes. Which projection do you want? Which do you want to work for? It all gets down to packing light and taking off. That is the end of class. So 15 minutes a day, reviewing the 5 powers and how you can apply them to your day. Right? It's a very sweet practice and a very powerful one. So that's the beginning of Lojong. We will do more Lojong tomorrow. I hope you find it as rich as I do and take it to heart and use it. It's a very powerful practice. And I know we're loading up on practices here. They don't have to be mutually exclusive of each other. They can weave together in your life. And it's just helping us to keep these ideas in our mind at all times. So let's take a moment. Let's close our eyes. And what would your specific dedication for this class on how to develop a good heart be. Think about that. Plant it deep in your heart. Send it out into the world so it touches every being. So they know someone is looking out for them. And just because you've sent it out in the world doesn't mean that it's not in your heart. It is still there. And make a commitment to do at least one thing before you go to sleep tonight that will benefit someone else. Get that clear in your heart as well. And make a commitment to do it. And then the light and all those beings come back into your heart, where you hold and cherish them and work for them. Omahu. Any questions? Alrighty then. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Venerable Gyelse. It was absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
I love Lojo. Maybe you can tell. Righty then. So think about what you want to do for class 11. We're going to do a review or questions or what you would like to do. And think about it all week, and we can talk about it next weekend. Otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow. I'll see Marina in a few hours. All righty. Take care. Thank you for your dedication to practicing. Yeah. We'll all get there. Yeah. Bye-bye.